You have been chasing something that does not exist. Every morning you wake to the tyranny of the clock, surrendering your infinite nature to the illusion of linear time. You plan tomorrow while mourning yesterday, trapped in a prison whose bars are made of moments that have already dissolved into the eternal ocean of now. This relentless pursuit of time has become the source of all suffering, the root of anxiety, the foundation of fear. But what if everything you believe about time is a magnificent deception? Take 3 conscious breaths with me now. Feel your chest rise and fall. In this simple act of breathing, you touch something beyond the reach of any clock. The breath knows no deadline. The heart beats in its own rhythm, indifferent to the schedules that govern your days. Yet somewhere along the journey of human evolution, we began to mistake the map for the territory, the measurement for the reality being measured. Time, as you experience it, is not a river flowing from past to future. It is a construct of the thinking mind, a tool that consciousness uses to organize experience but has mistaken for experience itself. You feel rushed because you believe in urgency. You feel old because you believe in accumulation. You feel late because you believe in a destination that exists somewhere other than here, somewhere other than now. But the deepest truth of your being knows no such limitations. Consider the last moment you felt truly alive, completely present, utterly free. Perhaps it was while watching a sunset, holding a child, lost in creative flow, or sitting in meditation. In that moment, where was time? It vanished, did it not? The eternal revealed itself through the temporary suspension of temporal consciousness. You tasted your true nature, timeless, boundless, whole. This was not an accident or exception. This was a glimpse of your authentic state of being. Ancient Vedic seers understood what modern physics is now rediscovering. Time is relative to the observer, malleable as clay in the hands of consciousness. They spoke of different qualities of time: linear time for practical navigation, cyclical time for natural rhythms, and eternal time for spiritual realization. You have been living in only one dimension of a multidimensional reality, like a bird that has forgotten it can fly, walking endlessly on the ground. Every cell in your body knows this truth. Your DNA carries information that is 14 billion years old, connecting you to the birth of the universe. Your breath exchanges molecules with every living being on Earth. Your heartbeat synchronizes with cosmic rhythms that predate human civilization. You are not separate from the timeless dance of creation. You are its very expression, temporarily focusing itself through the lens of individual awareness. The suffering you experience around time, stress, urgency, regret, anxiety about the future, these are symptoms of consciousness that has forgotten its infinite nature. You try to manage time, control time, save time, spend time, as if it were a resource to be hoarded, rather than recognizing that you are the very awareness in which all experiences of time arise. And in the pause between inhalation and exhalation, between exhalation and inhalation, lies a doorway into the timeless dimension of consciousness. These gaps exist outside of breath, outside of thinking, outside of time itself. They offer glimpses of your essential nature as pure awareness, untouched by the changes that characterize temporal experience. Gradually, you can extend these pauses, not through force but through relaxation, allowing consciousness to rest in its own spacious nature. In these moments of suspension, healing accelerates, creativity flows, and solutions to problems arise spontaneously. You discover that the most profound transformations occur not through doing but through being, not through effort but through presence, not through time but through timelessness. Throughout your day, return to conscious breathing whenever you notice yourself caught in time-based thinking. 3 conscious breaths can shift you from anxiety to presence, from urgency to peace, from limitation to possibility. The breath becomes your anchor in the eternal now, your refuge from the storms of temporal consciousness, your gateway to the infinite intelligence that guides all existence. Your essential nature exists beyond the boundaries of birth and death, beyond the beginning and ending that define temporal existence. What you truly are has never been born and can never die, because consciousness itself transcends the categories of existence and non-existence that apply to form. You are not a temporary arrangement of matter that briefly achieves awareness before dissolving back into unconsciousness. You are awareness itself, temporarily focusing through the lens of individual experience, but never limited by that focus. The fear of death drives much of human suffering, creating urgency around accomplishment, anxiety about meaning, and desperate attempts to leave lasting marks on a world perceived as temporary. But this fear rests upon a fundamental misunderstanding of your true nature. Death represents only the dissolution of the form through which consciousness has been expressing itself, not the extinction of consciousness itself. Like an actor removing a costume at the end of a play, consciousness simply transitions from one mode of expression to another. Consider your experience of deep sleep, where individual identity disappears, yet something remains aware. The presence that recognizes the transition between sleeping and waking. This aware presence exists independently of the content of consciousness, unchanged by whether experience includes thinking or not thinking, dreaming or not dreaming, form or formlessness. This presence is your deathless essence, the part of you that observes all changes while itself remaining changeless. Throughout your life, your body has completely regenerated multiple times, replacing every cell, every molecule, every atom that currently comprises your physical form. Yet something has remained constant through all these changes, the aware presence that recognizes itself as continuous despite the complete transformation of its physical vehicle. This continuity points to your true nature as consciousness itself, rather than any particular form consciousness might temporarily inhabit. Memory provides another clue to your deathless nature. You can remember events from childhood, even though the body-mind that experienced those events no longer exists in physical form. The cells, hormones, neural pathways, and even personality patterns that characterized your 5-year-old self have long since dissolved and been replaced. Yet the awareness that witnessed those childhood experiences remains present, suggesting that your essential identity transcends the changing phenomena of body and mind. Take 6 slow breaths now, allowing yourself to rest in the aware presence that has witnessed every moment of your existence. Notice that this presence has not aged, even though your body has grown older. It has not accumulated experience, even though countless experiences have passed through it. It has not been damaged by difficulties, even though challenges have appeared within it. This deathless awareness is what you actually are beneath all temporary identifications. When you recognize your essential nature as eternal consciousness, the entire meaning of life transforms. You are no longer a separate being struggling to survive in an indifferent universe, but rather the universe itself becoming conscious through your unique perspective. Your individual life becomes not a brief accident in a vast emptiness, but a precious opportunity for consciousness to know itself through form, to experience its own infinite nature through apparently finite expression. This recognition dissolves the existential anxiety that haunts time-based thinking. There is no urgency to accomplish everything within a limited lifespan because your essential being exists beyond the boundaries of any particular lifetime. There is no need to grasp at experiences or relationships, because consciousness will continue to know itself through endless expressions of creativity and love. There is no tragedy in aging, because awareness itself never grows old. Death, when it comes, will be like awakening from a dream, a transition from one state of consciousness to another, rather than an ending of consciousness itself. Just as you do not mourn the dissolution of last night's dream upon waking, consciousness does not mourn the dissolution of form, because it knows itself as the dreamer rather than any particular dream content. Living from this understanding transforms how you approach each day, each relationship, each challenge, each joy. You engage fully with life, not because you are desperate to fill limited time, but because you are eternal consciousness, delighting in the play of temporary form. You love without clinging, create without attachment, serve without sacrifice, because you know yourself as the inexhaustible source from which all experience flows. Integration of timeless awareness into daily existence does not require withdrawal from the world or abandonment of practical responsibilities. Rather, it involves bringing the quality of eternal presence into whatever activities and relationships comprise your human experience. You continue to use clocks and calendars as useful tools while no longer being enslaved by their apparent authority over your essential nature. Begin each day by touching the timeless dimension of consciousness before engaging with temporal activities. This might involve a few minutes of meditation, conscious breathing, or simply resting in awareness of awareness itself. This morning connection with your eternal nature serves as an anchor throughout the day, allowing you to respond to situations from presence rather than react from time-based conditioning. Throughout your daily activities, practice bringing the quality of timeless attention to whatever you are doing. Whether washing dishes, having conversations, or working on projects, let awareness be primary and activity be secondary. This transforms routine tasks into opportunities for presence, ordinary interactions into expressions of love, and work into service to the unfolding of consciousness through form. When challenges arise, instead of immediately engaging with them from the level of problem-solving mind, pause first to reconnect with your essential nature as aware presence. From this ground of timeless stability, creative solutions emerge naturally without the strain and struggle that characterize ego-based responses. You discover that most problems resolve themselves when approached from presence rather than from anxiety about time. Relationships deepen when you relate to others from recognition of shared essential nature rather than from the surface level of personality differences and competing temporal needs. You begin to see beyond the roles people play, the stories they tell about themselves, the defensive patterns they have developed, recognizing the same eternal consciousness looking out through different eyes. This recognition naturally evokes compassion, patience, and love. Practice seeing yourself and others as consciousness temporarily focused through different forms, rather than as separate beings competing for limited resources in limited time. This shift in perception dissolves many sources of conflict and opens space for authentic connection based on recognition of fundamental unity rather than negotiation between separate interests. At the end of each day, instead of reviewing what you accomplished or failed to accomplish according to time-based measures, rest in appreciation for consciousness itself, the aware presence that made all experience possible. This practice gradually shifts your sense of identity from achievement-based ego to being-based awareness, creating a foundation of contentment that does not depend on external circumstances. As you integrate timeless awareness more fully into daily life, you may notice that external circumstances begin to organize themselves more harmoniously around your presence. This happens not through manipulation or control, but through the natural response of the field of consciousness to clarity, peace, and alignment. Life becomes less about forcing outcomes and more about allowing the highest possibilities to unfold through conscious participation. You have journeyed through the illusion of time and discovered the eternal truth of your being. This is not philosophy or belief, but direct recognition available in every moment through the simple practice of present moment awareness. The peace you have sought in achievements, relationships, and experiences already exists as your fundamental nature. The freedom you have pursued through various spiritual practices is your birthright as consciousness itself. Time will continue to serve as a useful organizing principle for navigating the practical dimensions of human existence. But you need never again be imprisoned by the belief that time defines your essential nature or limits your possibilities. You are the timeless expressing itself through the temporary, the infinite experiencing itself through the finite, the eternal knowing itself through the momentary. In this recognition lies the secret of authentic happiness, lasting peace, and genuine freedom. Not the happiness that depends on favorable circumstances, but the happiness of consciousness recognizing its own nature. Not the peace that comes from absence of conflict, but the peace that transcends all conflict by recognizing the unchanging awareness in which all change occurs. Not the freedom that comes from controlling external conditions, but the freedom that comes from knowing yourself as the uncontrollable source from which all conditions arise. This understanding changes everything while changing nothing. Your life continues with its particular responsibilities, relationships, and creative expressions. But now these activities arise from and return to the infinite space of awareness, rather than from the limited perspective of separate selfhood struggling against time. You participate fully in the dance of existence while knowing yourself as the eternal stillness from which all movement emerges. Test these truths. It's in the laboratory of your own awareness. Notice what shifts when you remember your timeless nature in moments of stress, uncertainty, or challenge. Observe how relationships transform when approached from recognition of shared consciousness rather than separate needs. Experience how creativity flows when intention aligns with presence rather than force. Discover how healing accelerates when awareness touches its own wholeness. The invitation is always here in this eternal now, to step out of time and into your true nature as boundless, timeless, deathless awareness. The peace you seek has been seeking you. The freedom you desire is desiring you. The love you long for is longing for you. All exist here in this present moment as the very essence of what you are. Stop chasing time, enter the eternal now, come home to yourself. Dissolve. This journey you're about to undertake is not about learning something new, but about remembering something ancient. You're not broken and in need of fixing. You are whole and in need of recognition. You are not limited by time. You are the timeless expressing itself through the temporary. The peace you seek, the freedom you crave, the healing you desire, all exist in the eternal now that is your true home. Notice how even now, as these words reach your awareness, something in you recognizes their truth. That recognition comes not from the mind that thinks in time, but from the consciousness that witnesses all thinking, all time, all experience. You are that consciousness. You have always been that consciousness. You are about to remember how to live as that consciousness. The quantum field of infinite possibilities beckons. Every tradition speaks of it. The kingdom of heaven, Brahman, Buddha nature, the Tao, pure awareness. Science now reveals what the mystics always knew. Reality is far stranger and more magnificent than the linear mind can comprehend. At the deepest level of existence, particles exist in superposition, holding all possible states simultaneously until consciousness collapses them into specific experience through observation. You are not just an observer of quantum reality, you are quantum reality observing itself. Every moment offers infinite possibilities, but the thinking mind, imprisoned by the belief in linear time, sees only a narrow slice of what is available. You choose your reality not through force or struggle, but through the quality of your attention, the depth of your presence, the alignment of your awareness with the field of pure potential. The field exists beyond the boundaries of space and time. Physicists call it the vacuum state, the zero-point field, the quantum void, pregnant with infinite creativity. The ancient text, Tzedka, Eledit Akasha, the primordial space from which all manifestation emerges. You have direct access to this field through consciousness itself. When you touch this realm, healing happens instantaneously, creativity flows effortlessly, solutions appear without struggle. Think of consciousness as the invisible internet of the universe, connecting all points simultaneously. Your thoughts, intentions, and emotions are not private events contained within your skull. They are ripples in this vast ocean of awareness, influencing and influenced by the whole. When you align with the quantum field through presence, you tap into intelligence that transcends individual thinking, wisdom that surpasses accumulated knowledge. The great paradox of quantum mechanics reveals itself here. The observer changes what is observed simply by the act of observation. You are not a passive witness to reality. You are an active participant in its continuous creation. Your consciousness literally collapses infinite possibilities into specific manifestations. The quality of your observation determines the quality of your experience. Present moment awareness accesses possibilities that past and future thinking cannot reach. Take 6 slow breaths now, letting each exhale release you deeper into this moment. Feel yourself settling into the space between thoughts, the gap between breaths, the stillness from which all movement emerges. This is your portal into quantum reality, your gateway to the field of infinite potential. Here in this space of pure awareness, you discover that you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself. In this field, healing does not follow the linear progression that time-based thinking expects. Spontaneous remissions occur because consciousness accesses information and possibilities that exist outside the timeline of symptom progression. Miraculous transformations happen because awareness touches the source code of reality, where all patterns can be instantly restructured. You are not limited by your history, you are empowered by your presence. The field responds to intention, but not the effortful intention of the ego trying to manipulate outcomes. It responds to the pure intention that arises from alignment with your deepest truth, from love rather than fear, from wholeness rather than lack. When you approach the field as a sovereign being, recognizing your fundamental unity with all existence, the universe collaborates with your highest possibilities. Your body is not a machine grinding through time toward inevitable decay. It is a dynamic pattern of intelligence in constant communication with the quantum field, receiving information, processing energy, and creating experience moment by moment. Every cell carries receptors for every emotion. Every thought creates biochemical cascades. Every intention influences genetic expression. Your body is literally recreating itself in response to consciousness approximately every 7 years, using materials from the environment but guided by the intelligence of awareness. The body knows rhythms that the mind has forgotten. Your heart rate variability changes with every thought and emotion. creating coherent or chaotic patterns that influence not only your health, but your capacity to access higher states of consciousness. Your nervous system naturally synchronizes with the electromagnetic field of the Earth, connecting you to planetary rhythms that have guided life for millions of years. Your pineal gland produces melatonin in response to light cycles, but also DMT in response to consciousness states, suggesting that spiritual experience is as natural as sleep. Circadian rhythms represent one layer of your body's temporal intelligence. These are not mechanical processes, but expressions of cosmic consciousness through biological form. Your body temperature, hormone production, gene expression, and cellular repair all follow patterns that connect you to the rotation of the Earth, the cycles of the Moon, and the rhythms of the solar system. When you honor these natural cycles, instead of fighting them with artificial schedules, you align with intelligence far greater than individual will. But beyond circadian intelligence lies something even more profound. Your body's capacity to access cellular memory and genetic wisdom that transcends personal experience. Every cell contains the accumulated intelligence of billions of years of evolution. Your immune system recognizes patterns and creates responses based on information that existed long before your individual birth. Your nervous system processes and integrates experiences using structures that connect you to the collective wisdom of your species. The breath serves as a bridge between voluntary and involuntary processes, between conscious and unconscious intelligence. When you bring awareness to breathing, you access the body's innate wisdom about presence and timing. The breath knows when to speed up and when to slow down, when to deepen and when to soften, responding to subtle cues that the thinking mind often misses. Through conscious breathing, you can influence heart rate variability, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and create physiological states that support both healing and higher consciousness. Notice now how your body breathes itself without your management or control. This automatic intelligence operates in the eternal now, responding to what is needed moment by moment rather than following predetermined schedules. Your heart beats in rhythm with your current state of consciousness, not according to the plans you made yesterday or the fears you hold about tomorrow. Your digestive system processes food according to present moment needs, not based on future projections or past habits. When you trust your body's temporal intelligence and stop trying to override it with mental scheduling, you discover that efficiency emerges naturally from presence. Energy flows where it is needed most. Rest comes when restoration is required. Activity arises when movement serves the whole. You begin to live in partnership with the body's wisdom rather than in opposition to it, finding that natural timing supports both productivity and peace in ways that forced scheduling never could. The mind, in its magnificent complexity, has become both creator and prisoner of temporal experience. Every thought carries a timestamp, every memory a location in the imagined past, every projection a destination in the anticipated future. You live not in reality, but in the mind's interpretation of reality, filtered through layers of conceptual time that exist nowhere except in consciousness itself. The thinking mind, designed to navigate physical existence, has overstepped its boundaries and begun to mistake its maps for the territory itself. Watch your thoughts carefully for the next few moments. Notice how each one either references something that has already happened or anticipates something yet to come. The mind rarely rests in pure present moment awareness because it has been trained to find security in knowing, in comparing, in projecting. But this knowing is largely fictional, built from memory fragments and imaginative constructions that bear little resemblance to the fluid, ever-changing nature of actual experience. Memory is not a recording device playing back exact reproductions of past events. Neuroscience reveals that every time you remember something, you are actually recreating it, influenced by your current state of consciousness, your present beliefs, and your emotional condition in this moment. The past you think you know is continuously being rewritten by the present you are experiencing, yet the mind treats these fluid reconstructions as solid facts, building identity and making decisions based on stories that exist only in consciousness. The future, meanwhile, remains completely imaginary, yet the mind projects onto it hopes, fears, plans, and expectations as if these mental constructions were inevitable realities. You suffer not from what is happening now, but from what the mind tells you might happen, could happen, should happen, or must not happen. Anxiety is always about an imagined future. Depression often involves attachment to an idealized past. Both remove you from the only moment where life actually occurs. This mental time travel creates a peculiar form of suffering unique to human consciousness. Animals live in natural rhythms, responding to present moment stimuli without the overlay of conceptual time. A deer drinking at a stream is fully present with the activity of drinking, not reviewing yesterday's water sources or planning tomorrow's hydration schedule. Humans, blessed and cursed with conceptual thinking, often miss the stream entirely while lost in thoughts about streams. The mind creates time through comparison and measurement. It divides the seamless flow of experience into discrete units, seconds, minutes, hours, days, years, then uses these artificial divisions to create stories of progress, aging, success, failure, beginning and ending. But consciousness itself knows no such divisions. Awareness is always here, always now, always whole, regardless of the mental constructs that arise within it. Take 4 deep breaths now, allowing each exhale to release you from the mind's timeline and return you to the immediacy of breathing. Notice that the breath is always happening now. The breath that came before this one has dissolved into space. The breath that will come after this one does not yet exist. Only this breath, this moment of expansion and contraction, this simple exchange of life force is real. When you recognize how the mind creates temporal experience through thought, you discover the possibility of stepping outside this creation. You are not your thoughts about time. You are the awareness in which all thoughts about time arise and dissolve. This recognition opens a doorway to timeless presence, to the part of you that observes all mental activity without being caught in its drama. Beyond the thinking mind lies pure awareness, the witness consciousness that observes all experience without being limited by any particular experience. This witness has been present through every moment of your life, watching thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall, sensations appear and disappear, yet itself remaining unchanged, untouched, eternal. You are not the character in the story of your life. You are the aware presence in which all stories arise. The witness consciousness exists outside the timeline that the mind creates. It does not age because it exists beyond the concept of aging. It does not hurry because it exists beyond the concept of urgency. It does not fear death because it exists beyond the concept of birth and death. This is your true nature, temporarily focused through the lens of individual experience, but never limited by that focus. Consider the deeper sleep when dreams fade and thinking stops. Something remains aware even in that apparent unconsciousness, the presence that knows when sleep ends and waking begins. That presence is timelessly aware, existing in dimensions of consciousness that transcend the waking mind's obsession with temporal progression. You touch this presence in meditation, in moments of flow, in experiences of pure love when the separate self dissolves and only awareness remains. The witness does not accumulate experience like the mind accumulates memories. It does not grow tired like the body grows tired. It does not become confused like emotions become confused. It simply is timelessly present, eternally aware, forever whole. When you identify with this witness rather than with the changing phenomena it observes, you discover that you have never actually been limited by time, only by the belief in limitation. This realization transforms everything. Stress dissolves when you recognize that the awareness experiencing stress is itself unstressed. Fear dissipates when you understand that the consciousness witnessing fear is itself fearless. Aging becomes simply another experience arising in ageless awareness. Death becomes another transformation witnessed by deathless presence. You discover that you are not a temporary being having occasional spiritual experiences, the eternal consciousness having a temporary human experience. Rest for a moment in this recognition. Feel yourself as the space in which all experience occurs rather than as any particular experience occurring. Notice that this space of awareness is vast, open, peaceful, complete. It needs nothing, lacks nothing, fears nothing, because it is the source from which all experience emerges and to which all experience returns. In this space of witnessing awareness lies the secret of spontaneous healing. When consciousness recognizes its true nature as timeless presence, the body responds by accessing states of repair and regeneration that exist outside the linear progression of disease. Healing happens not through time, but in the eternal now, where all possibilities remain perpetually available. The body's innate intelligence, freed from the mind's beliefs about limitation and progression, can instantaneously reorganize itself according to higher patterns of wholeness. Medical science documents cases of spontaneous remission that defy conventional understanding of disease progression. These healings share common elements: a shift in consciousness, a release of resistance, a surrender to something greater than individual will, and often a profound experience of timeless presence. The healing occurs not through accumulated treatment over time, but through immediate access to a dimension of reality where wholeness was never actually lost. Your body contains approximately 37 trillion cells, each one a conscious entity responding to information from consciousness itself. These cells do not heal according to clockwork mechanisms, but according to the quality of awareness they receive. When consciousness touches its timeless nature, cells access genetic expressions, repair mechanisms, and regenerative capacities that remain dormant under the stress of time-based thinking. The nervous system in particular demonstrates remarkable plasticity when freed from the constraints of linear belief. Neuroplasticity accelerates in states of present moment awareness, allowing for rapid restructuring of neural pathways that might otherwise take months or years to change. The brain literally rewires itself more efficiently when consciousness operates from timeless presence rather than from fear-based projections about past or future. Breathe consciously now, sending awareness to any area of your body that feels tense, uncomfortable, or in need of attention. Instead of thinking about healing as a process that takes time, simply offer this area the gift of present moment awareness. Notice how consciousness itself, when focused with love and attention, creates immediate shifts in sensation, energy, and comfort. This is medicine beyond minutes, healing beyond hours, transformation beyond time. The heart, especially, responds dramatically to the quality of consciousness. Heart rate variability shifts immediately when awareness moves from time-based anxiety to present moment appreciation. The heart's electromagnetic field, measurable several feet from the body, becomes coherent and powerful when consciousness aligns with timeless love rather than temporal fear. This coherent heart field influences not only your own healing, but creates a beneficial environment for healing in others. Intention arising from timeless presence operates through entirely different principles than goal setting from the time-bound mind. When consciousness aligns with its eternal nature, desires emerge not from lack or fear, but from the natural impulse of wholeness, expressing itself through form. This is the alchemy of manifestation. Not forcing outcomes through willpower, but allowing possibilities to crystallize through the magnetic power of pure intention, aligned with present moment awareness. The ego mind approaches manifestation as a transaction. I will do this in order to get that over this period of time, following this sequence of steps. This approach treats the universe as a machine that responds to mechanical manipulation, rather than as a living field of consciousness that responds to the quality of awareness. When intention arises from temporal thinking, it carries within it the very limitation it seeks to overcome, the belief in separation, lack, and the need to acquire something outside of oneself. True intention emerges from recognition of your fundamental wholeness and your intimate connection with the field of infinite possibilities. It carries no desperation, no attachment to specific timelines, no fear of failure, because it arises from a consciousness that knows itself as already complete. This intention acts like a tuning fork, vibrating at frequencies that naturally attract corresponding experiences from the quantum field of potential. Consider how creation actually works in nature. A seed does not struggle to become a tree. It simply expresses its essential nature under the right conditions, trusting in intelligence far greater than individual effort. The sun does not strain to give light. Rivers do not work hard to flow downhill. Flowers do not practice opening their petals. All of natural creation operates through effortless expression of inherent potential, guided by cosmic intelligence that knows no hurry, no worry, no doubt. Your deepest desires represent not random wants, but the universe seeking to know itself through your unique perspective. When you feel called to create, to heal, to love, to serve, to explore, these impulses arise from the same source that moves galaxies and grows forests. The key lies in distinguishing between ego desires that seek to enhance the separate self and soul desires that seek to express universal love through individual form. Take 5 conscious breaths now, allowing your awareness to settle into the space of your heart. From this space, sense what truly wants to emerge through your life, not what you think you should want or what others expect from you, but what the deepest intelligence of your being seeks to express. Notice how this sensing feels different from mental planning. It carries a quality of knowing that transcends thinking, a certainty that exists beyond proof. Intention from presence works through synchronicity rather than force, through attraction rather than pursuit, through allowing rather than controlling. When consciousness aligns with I's timeless nature, you begin to notice that life organizes itself around your highest possibilities. People appear at precisely the right moment. Resources become available exactly when needed. Opportunities arise that surpass anything you could have planned or predicted. This is not magical thinking, but recognition of how consciousness actually operates. When you live from presence rather than from time-based planning, you tap into the organizing intelligence of the universe itself. Your individual awareness becomes a conscious participant in cosmic creativity, co-creating with forces that know how to coordinate countless variables in ways that serve the highest good of all. The art lies in holding intention lightly, like cupping water in your hands. Grip too tightly and it flows away. Hold too loosely and it dissipates. But with the right touch, water conforms to the shape of your hands while maintaining its essential fluidity. Similarly, intention held in present moment awareness maintains its creative power while remaining flexible enough to manifest in ways that exceed your limited imagination. Notice how different this feels from the driven pursuit of goals that characterizes so much of human activity. There is no exhaustion in aligned intention because there is no resistance to overcome. There is no anxiety about timing because the universe operates in perfect timing. There is no fear of failure because consciousness recognizes that every experience serves evolution, regardless of whether it matches ego expectations. Breath serves as the most accessible doorway into timeless consciousness, the bridge between voluntary and involuntary awareness, between individual will and cosmic intelligence. Every spiritual tradition recognizes the breath as sacred precisely because it connects the finite self with infinite source, the temporal body with eternal spirit, the thinking mind with pure awareness. Your breath is happening now. It has always been happening now. It will always be happening now. Unlike thoughts that reference past and future, unlike emotions that often arise from temporal displacement, the breath anchors you in the eternal present where transformation becomes possible. Through conscious breathing, you can literally rewire your nervous system, shift your state of consciousness, and access dimensions of reality that remain hidden from time-based thinking. Begin with 4 natural breaths, simply observing without changing anything. Notice that the breath breathes itself. You do not have to remember to breathe, plan each inhalation, or schedule each exhalation. The breath operates through intelligence that transcends individual control while remaining responsive to conscious attention. This is your first lesson in timeless living, trusting the intelligence that operates beyond personal effort while engaging with that intelligence through awareness. Now, gradually lengthen your exhalations, allowing each out-breath to release not only carbon dioxide but also any sense of hurry, worry, or temporal pressure. Feel yourself settling deeper into this moment with each release. The extended exhalation activates your parasympathetic nervous system, naturally shifting you from time-based stress responses to presence-based relaxation responses. Your body recognizes this shift and begins to access repair mechanisms that operate outside the timeline of accumulated tension. With each inhalation, breathe in not just oxygen, but also spaciousness, possibility, and the infinite potential that exists in this eternal now. Feel your awareness expanding beyond the boundaries of your physical form, connecting with the vast field of consciousness from which all experience emerges. You are not breathing air into a separate body, but participating in the cosmic respiration that sustains all life. Practice the ancient technique of counted breathing, but not for the purpose of achieving some future state. Count breaths simply to give the thinking mind a gentle focus, while awareness naturally settles into timeless presence. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 6 counts, hold empty for 2 counts. Let the counting be like stones in a river, useful for crossing, but not the destination itself. As you continue this practice, notice how the space between breaths becomes more apparent.